the 2005 to the 2009 past year PSLE science paper series, along with questions on the topic of magnets, with annotation and answering techniques. So without any further ado, let's begin with the video. 5-bar magnets with their ends marked A to J can be arranged as shown below. Which one of the following diagrams shows a possible arrangement of two of the above magnets? Okay, so first let's get over with the basics of magnets. So let's say I have a bar magnet, and any magnet, be it a bar magnet, be it a horseshoe magnet, or a button magnet, all of them have a north and a south pole. But in this scenario, we are given 5 bar magnets, and one pole is north, one side is the north pole, the other side is the south pole. Okay, and we also know that unlike poles attract, meaning that if you bring two magnets such that the north pole of one magnet is facing the south pole of the other magnet, then they will attract. However, so like these two magnets will then eventually become like this. So you have, this is north, south. I'll use a different color to differentiate. Yeah, so this is attraction. This is the attraction between unlike poles of a magnet. And whereas if you have two magnets and bring them together such that the like poles face each other, so we have north, south, south and north. So south and south, they are like poles, so what will happen is these magnets will repel each other, and then instead of attracting, they'll move further away. So this would be the end result, something like this. You get the point that like poles attract and unlike poles attract and like poles repel. So in this scenario, where all 5 magnets are attracted to each other, which can be seen at the B and C interface, the D and D interface, GF interface and IH interface, all of these poles are attracting each other. So this would mean that the arrangement of these magnets are such that the unlike poles of two magnets are facing each other. And usually what I used to do was I used to label each end as north, south, and I found that pretty tiresome, pretty troublesome to label every to label north and south. So another method I used to use was that I used to take two highlighters of different colors and then start highlighting one end of the magnet with, let's say, blue, and then every alternate alphabet, which means after A is B and immediately after B is C. So every alternate alphabet like this, I would highlight it with the same color. So A, C, E, G and I. Now this is because we don't know which side of the magnet is north or south, but we do know that if one side is north, the other has to be south, or if one pole is south, the other has to be north, right? So it doesn't matter which pole you take it to be, as long as you differentiate between these two poles which are attracting each other, right? So now that I have all these blue highlighted alphabets, I would go into the options and then highlight all the alphabets with the same color, meaning that I would look at all A's in the options and highlight them with blue, all C's with blue, all E's with blue, all G with blue, yeah, and then all I's with blue. I yeah, and then I would go back to the main figure and then highlight the remaining unshaded alphabets with a different color. So now if you see, one color means one pole, so two different colors would mean two different poles. And when you have two magnets with two different poles brought close to each other, then these unlike poles would attract, which is why B and C are of different color, D and E are of different color, G and F are of different color, and H and I are of different color. Oh, I forgot J. Yeah, these are different colors. So now what I would do is, again I would go back into the options and highlight the remaining colors with highlight the remaining alphabets with green. So we have all B's, and then all J's, then all D. Yeah, that's only D, and then all H. Right, there's one more D over here. All H, and then all F's. Yeah. So now, if you look at all these four options, there's all these options are representing attraction between two magnets. And when is that possible? Only when you have unlike poles brought next to each other, like in this figure shown over here. Right? Now let's look at the options. If you have two colors, if you have two same colors that are right next to each other, that would mean you have like poles next to each other. So they should be repelling instead of attracting. And let's look at option 1. We have green and blue. So these two are unlike poles, which means they would attract. So this is correct. Now let's look at the other options. G and C. These are like poles since they are of the same color. So are B and F and D and J. So like poles, they should not be attracting. They should be repelling. And if they should be repelling, this representation would be incorrect. So therefore, the only correct option is 1. So in such scenarios, instead of writing north south, what you can do is you can get two erasable highlighters of different colors, and then practice these kind of questions as much as you can, so that when it comes to doing the actual exam, actual paper, you wouldn't take as much time as you would if you're doing it the first time. So my advice would be that if you want to continue with this type of annotation, you should start applying this method in your practice papers, so that by the time you take your papers, by the time you give your papers, it shouldn't be much of a problem. Yeah. So that was it for this video. Like I mentioned, for annotation, it would be advisable if you could get erasable highlighters, so that you can quickly rectify any annotation mistake you might make while attempting the paper. And other than that, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click on the bell icon to be notified whenever I post a new video. Moreover, do like my videos and help me achieve my goal of helping as many people as possible by sharing these videos to other people you know. So do stay tuned for my next video. Until then, goodbye.